Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We've got a look at some of the key takeaways from the recent National Beef Quality Audit. Plus, learn how the audit can help you better manage your cull cows and increase your profitability.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us. Every 5 years, the National Beef Quality Audit brings together a wide range of beef industry stakeholders for a collaborative research and data collection exercise. The goal is to evaluate the quality of the beef produced in the United States and identify strengths and areas for improvement. Here's a look at some of the findings from the most recent audit.
There's a saying in business, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. For more than 3 decades, the National Beef Quality Audits have been evaluating various aspects of beef production, processing, and marketing to help us better understand what quality means to different industry sectors. It's a huge undertaking with a tremendous benefit, ensuring that the beef industry remains competitive by consistently delivering a positive eating experience for consumers. The 2022 audit was conducted under extraordinary circumstances because of COVID-19 supply chain disruptions. The pandemic also caused a backlog, and more cattle over 30 months of age were harvested. Nonetheless, beef proved to be a protein consumers want, and the industry persevered to provide quality products. This audit also showed consumers are far less concerned about food safety. That's because they now expect beef products to be safe without question, because they know every day farmers and ranchers take the steps necessary to ensure it. For fed cattle, the audit shows a significant improvement in the overall quality of carcasses. There's an increase in the percentage of carcasses grading prime and choice, which are the higher quality grades and indicate better marbling and tenderness. Even though fewer defects were shown, bruising remains a concern. Implementing better handling practices and reducing stress during transportation can further minimize bruising and enhance beef quality. Speaking of transportation, nearly 93% of transportation service providers interviewed were familiar with the Beef Quality Assurance Transportation Program, and 91% are BQAT certified. The market cow and bull sector is viewed more favorably by the beef supply chain than in the past because it provides an alternative product and a secondary value to animals once their original purpose is no longer suitable. Although market cows and bulls are typically associated with ground beef production, over time the industry has realized these animals have the potential to yield valuable primals to be fabricated and sold as retail cuts and to the restaurant trade. However, full udders are considered a defect and could potentially contaminate the product if milk gets onto the carcass at the processing facility. Full udders can also cause mobility issues, impacting the animal's well-being. Of all the defects in cows identified in the 2022 audit, nearly half were due to full udders. Cows should be checked for pregnancy prior to harvest or culled prior to breeding. Foreign materials also continue to present a problem, and producer education on the use of projectiles when handling cattle could help to reduce food safety concerns and further improve animal well-being. This was just a quick look at some of the findings of the 2022 National Beef Quality Audit. You can download an executive summary and find additional resources at the website bqa.org.
The National Beef Quality Audit gives us a snapshot of the current state of the beef industry, the challenges, and the progress made in the effort to improve beef quality. Dr. Clay Mathis shares his thoughts on some of the insights cattle producers should take from the audit.
The latest National Beef Quality Audit did indicate that there are some key opportunities for improvement in the area of cull cow management. Can you tell us a little bit about those findings?
Yeah, really there's three I think that are most important. One of them is the severity of bruising was higher than it had been in past years. Another one is we had more cows with full udders, and that when a cow is harvested, the milk that can come out of that udder, and it contaminates the carcass, and so there's losses there. And the other thing is foreign objects, whether it's from remote release darts, whether it's from needles. But the biggest issue is bird shot, and that coming from firearms. And so those are the three things that are I think we should be thinking about the most in this regard.
You know, those findings are kind of interesting because a lot of producers, of course, focus on that that calf crop, because that calf crop is, you know, something that's year after year, but it really starts with that cow. And she's got a long journey to take in this industry. So it's really about setting her up for success at the end of her journey. What are some things producers can do to make sure that that cull cow management is better than it has been?
Yeah, you know, you talk about calf crop, and certainly that's the number one factor driving profitability, and it's important. But what we can't do is just walk across the finish line with those cows. And when we think about, and I'll just talk about them, this bruising issue, you know, part of that is this last audit what happened in 2022. It was a really dry year, so there was a lot of cows that went to the market, and they were thinner than normal. And I think there's an opportunity there to take a look at those cows, see if maybe they're candidates to add some flesh to them before they go to the market, so you don't have such big trim losses that are due to bruising. With the full udder issue, we just need to let those cows dry out before they go to market. You know, that was almost half of all the quality defects that were found in this audit among cows was because of full udders, and that's something that I wasn't even aware of. Really, could be a problem, but it is, because it is a contaminant if milk. So the point being, we could let those cows dry out. And the thing again that concerns me most is foreign objects, particularly bird shot. I think that we have some concern that, you know, maybe it's rogue bird hunters. But what we know, and we see this birdshot issue, it's across the United States. But a lot of this is coming from producers using firearms to gather and to move their animals. Now, we as an industry, we can't let that happen. We absolutely have to put a stop to the use of firearms by a very few to move these animals. When this lead gets in the product, we find it through x-ray machines, and we find it through metal detectors in the packing house. It's a significant issue, and there's a lot of lost meat product because of that. So we just have to put a stop to that aspect.
Some of these things that you talk about, you know, there's definitely the aspect of adding value to that cull cow, but at the end of the day, she's also going to be beef on somebody's plate, probably in the form of hamburger, but it's also an animal welfare issue, and we really need to be cognizant of that as an industry, I think. Maybe talk a little bit about making sure that those cull cows are managed in such a way that our image is good and that product is safe.
Yeah, when we think about cull cows, a lot of the times we're talking about cows that are older. They're coming towards the end of their productive life, and we see more issues like lameness. We see more issues as they get older, the possibility of cancer eye and those types of things. And so we just have to be really cognizant of what could go on with those older cows. They matter. We've got to take care of them just like we take care of the calves. And we owe it to those cows to treat them well all the way to the end.
Now, if you want to see all the resources produced on the MBQA or read a summary of the audit, you can find those materials on the website bqa.org. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll dig deeper into the findings of the National Beef Quality Audit and explain how the results should influence how producers manage their cull cows. Stay with us.
National Cattlemen's Beef Association would like to thank our gold partners. Their support allows us to continue being the trusted leader and definitive voice of the U.S. cattle and beef industry.
Molly Manufacturing is the industry standard in livestock handling equipment. The silencer hydraulic squeeze chute is safer for animals and the operator and is designed with special features that make the job of working livestock more efficient. Proudly made in the USA, every piece of Molly equipment is made to order for your operation. Safer and built to last, silencer from Molly is better by design. Find out more at mollymfg.com.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. There are big benefits to being a member. You'll get industry news in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus discounts just for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
For cattle producers across the country, cull cattle are a part of doing business. But even though cull animals are often viewed as a loss, these animals can actually be a significant source of revenue. Here's more on how cull cattle, if properly managed, can contribute to the profitability of your farm or ranch.
I'm joined now by Patrick Linnell of Cattle Facts. Patrick, as we talk about good cull cow management, there's a value add to producers to this component, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, that's always the case. As you look at it, cow-calf, for the cow-calf operation, cull cows tend to represent around 20% of revenue. And at the same time, about 20% of beef production is cull cows. So whichever way you want to look at it, it's significant.
I know we're currently in a cycle where cull cows are bringing money and good money no matter what, but managing those cull cows just a little bit differently can also sort of help add more value and get you more profits in a down cycle. Talk a little bit about that and some things producers can do.
Yeah. I mean, as we sit here and see record cull cow prices through the roof, I mean, there's no doubt that there is more value than ever in good animal welfare and stewardship and just getting more cows to the market for producers. But that's always the case. While there's the most to gain when the cycle's high, it's just that much more important when the cycle's low. And thankfully, that's not something we have to deal with today. And unfortunately, there might not be quite as much opportunity when the cycle is low, but ultimately, that's when every penny counts the most.
So Patrick, what are some tips that you would have to producers to add some value to their cull cows?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that come to mind. And again, first thing, as we think about just these record high prices, there's just that much more value in getting that one more animal through the system. So whatever animal welfare, BQA steps, again, just making sure that we take those steps to get one more cow to the market could be worth $1,800 today. A few other things, adding weight, especially in these higher prices, that 1 pound is worth just that much more. And especially as we work towards fall, if we think about some females that come off thin, if there's an ability to add some weight to those animals, the market will pay you well to do so.
We think a lot about the weights of our calves that we take to the sale barn. That's a good point that you make about adding some weight to those cull cows. Maybe it's not going to add $500 to that cow, but $100 here and there really adds up when you take culls to market. Maybe talk about that and how producers can, at the end of the day, it's something.
Yeah, in the economic study that we did for the Right Way, Right Time publication, our numbers showed, and it's just one scenario obviously, but the last few years it's been worth around $300 per head. If a producer was able to take a cow that's a little bit thin in the fourth quarter of the year and take her into the first quarter of the year and add some weight, add some flesh to her, returns around $300 per head at times. And again, that's just one example, but the point remains pretty clear.
That's a pretty good return on investment for just a little bit of extra time for that much money. There's also an animal welfare component to this and a beef quality component to this as well. With a little bit of extra care in our cull cow management, not only are we putting some extra money in the pocket, but we're doing the right thing by that cow that's giving you calves for her whole entire life. Talk about the perception component of that.
Absolutely. As I talked about 20% of beef production is cull cows, is non-fed beef production. And so as you just look at it from the demand side of the equation, it's nothing to scoff at. We can't just think of it as just hamburger, because it's around 50% of U.S. beef consumption is in the form of ground beef. So doing what we need to take care of those animals that have done so much for us also has a real demand story to it, and just making sure that we're doing the right thing from that standpoint.
Want to take your cull cow management to the next level? Then you should check out the Right Way, Right Time guide. It offers expert insights on everything from animal handling and health to nutrition and marketing strategies. Get your copy today by visiting ncba.org and clicking on the Producers tab. Still to come, we'll visit a stockmanship and stewardship event and hear how those events can help producers improve their cattle handling. We'll be right back with more right after this.
There's never a dull moment for the Nelsons. Fifth-generation Montana ranchers. Since 1868, they've been herding cattle, reeling in trout, and exploring Paradise Valley from their backyard. Here's to another 150 years of adventure. There's a story in every piece of land. Run with us on a John Deere Gator XUV and start telling yours.
BRD stands for bovine respiratory disease. It isn't a specific disease, but it's the complex that we deal with. This particular group has used Draxxin KP. As they were using the KP, one of the biggest things they brought up to me was how much quicker the response was. They see that it works, and when you figure your cost into it, I think it's a significant return on an investment for them.
As we've heard on our program today, cull cows can contribute to the bottom line of an operation if they're managed properly. One great place to get hands-on training to improve cattle care is at regional stockmanship and stewardship events. Here's a look at one of those sessions that was held in Utah.
A crowd of cattle producers gathered at a stockmanship and stewardship event in Utah to learn about a variety of topics, including low-stress cattle handling from industry experts Ron Gill and Kurt Pate.
We went through all the basics of all different aspects of working with livestock. And so I think this is very important because, of course, stress on cattle creates problems with people, cattle, and the industry. So we feel it's very important to get people on the right track, working their cattle in a proper way that fits the industry, the lifestyle, and the cattle.
The stockmanship and stewardship events offer insights and education for producers of all skill levels. Moving the events around allows the experts to highlight the best practices in different areas of the country.
And we work with our local hosts, usually led by one of our BQA state coordinators. Our state affiliates and beef councils contribute, and we work on an agenda that really fits that region of the country. So here we're going to be talking about grazing management, several breakouts around managing in this drier, higher arid environment. We have people from, I think, 5 or 6 states coming to speak at this event from around the country. So you'll definitely hear from some folks you haven't heard from locally. We try to bring an experience that's more like our cattle industry convention experience to that regional setting for folks that might not be able to travel.
Support for the event comes from the Checkoff-funded Beef Quality Assurance Program, and those BQA principles form the foundation for all of the lessons.
BQA certification is more important today than ever. It's always been important for educating and onboarding new employees, maybe getting a refresher on those cattle safety and health components and making sure we're doing things the right way chute side, which we always like to cover those basics. But even more today, we're talking more about biosecurity. We've developed new resources in those areas, more on transportation and safe handling, reducing bruising, as we've seen problems through our National Beef Quality Audit in those areas where we're seeing more bruising.
This event is our opportunity to get all of our producers here attending the event BQA certified. Not only do we want to ensure the consumers here in Utah and across the United States that the cattle are handled well from start to finish, but we want the consumer to have trust and faith in our producers that they're taking time out of their schedules to come here and learn good cattle handling principles.
Neogen sponsors these one-of-a-kind training sessions, and Dr. Kirk Ramsey says Neogen is proud to support this important initiative to educate cattle producers.
I think these stockmanship stewardship events are probably one of the most important things we can be doing around our industry. Creating these opportunities like this to create education, to give chances for producers to come together, to get some education on some things that maybe they don't think about. That's where these are really important, I think, for our industry.
Through a partnership with the National Cattlemen's Foundation and Cargill Protein, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association offers the Rancher Resilience Grant, which cattle producers can apply for to help offset some of the cost of attending educational events.
What we basically do is reimburse your registration fee and hotel costs for attending those events. Our stockmanship and stewardship events, like we're at today, qualify for that Rancher Resilience Grant. I encourage folks to go check out what's been approved, and if there's an event in your region that does not have it listed on the Rancher Resilience Grant site, you can ask the organizers to reach out to us. We have a quick application for them to be approved if it meets our criteria.
So if you're looking for an educational experience unlike any other, be sure to visit a stockmanship and stewardship event near you.
I would encourage all producers throughout the country to come to any of these workshops that they can, that either your local cattlemen's associations put on, but especially these ones that NCBA puts on are highly valuable. Anything that helps us, it will help our neighbors, that helps the industry as a whole, and puts a good look on all of us to show that we are good stewards of our land and of our livestock.
We're trying to bring a unique experience. You will definitely hear something new. You'll definitely be able to take away a new idea, challenge yourself with some new thinking if you attend a stockmanship and stewardship event.
Did you miss out on a chance to see a stockmanship and stewardship event in person this year? Well, you're in luck. On Thursday, November 7th, there will be a special virtual event. It offers the same high-quality content and educational sessions, but you can watch it from the comfort of your own home. You can register for free at stockmanshipandstewardship.org. When we come back, we'll wrap up this special edition on the National Beef Quality Audit and Cull cow management. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
CattleCon's headed to San Antonio, February 4th through 6th, 2025, where farmers and ranchers gather to shape our industry's future. Remember, if you ain't at the table, you might just be on the menu. Check out the latest in ranching at the Texas-sized NCBA trade show. Network, learn, and grow your operation. Don't miss this chance to steer the cattle biz in San Antonio, where the Alamo spirit lives on. Visit convention.ncba.org to get registered. CattleCon 2025, where the beef industry meets.
Welcome back to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, as we continue our look at the latest National Beef Quality Audit and how the results can help you better manage your cull cows. Joining us now is Michaela Klauser. She's Senior Director of Producer Education for NCBA. Michaela, after looking through the National Beef Quality Audit, what's your read on the overall state of the beef industry?
Mm-hmm. So looking at the most recent results, we saw a lot of positives, a lot of success stories. We are producing the highest quality product that we ever have. We have the highest percentage of carcasses grading choice or better, with about 7.5% of those carcasses grading prime. We also heard from these large companies, from the packers, the further processors, and those retailers that we're extremely efficient as an industry. You know, when comparing the 2016 audit to the 2022 audit, we had some challenges right there in the middle that we had to overcome. And because of that, you know, we persevered as an industry and we are a lot more efficient. Additionally, we also heard that food safety is a way of business. It is assumed. And so we know that we are producing a high quality, safe, delicious product for our consumers, and our consumers are looking for it. There's a big demand. So the future is bright for the industry.
That's great news. Now, we talked earlier in the show about the Beef Quality Assurance Program. What role does BQA play in all this?
So the Beef Quality Assurance Program is pivotal to the success of the beef industry. You know, looking back to the very first National Beef Quality Audit in 1991, we saw that injection site lesions were such an issue. We had product quality issues, defect issues, and we've been able to improve these issues audit over audit every 5 years as we have implemented these BQA principles. So, you know, BQA has continued to expand. It is a total quality management program. We look at herd health, grazing practices, nutrition, and everything in between, so we can best equip producers to raise their cattle the best way possible.
Now, we've also talked about cull cow management in this program, and what's your read on why it's so important to kind of understand how to properly manage those cull cows before they leave our operation?
Yes, so cull cattle add a lot of value to the producer, and we don't want producers to forget that. But you know, it's also important to remember that there's a reason why cows are being culled. There's a reason why you're sending her to town, whether she's open, whether it's age, a mobility issue, any kind of instance like that. But it's important to always consider her through the end of the journey. So she is set up for the most success through the end. That's by analyzing her fitness for transport, looking at her body condition score, and remembering, her journey doesn't end when she leaves your farm or ranch. It ends when she gets to the plant. So if she's going to a sale barn, an auction market in between there, whatever the transportation looks like, take that into consideration when you're sending cows to town.
We sure appreciate you coming to the show today.
Thank you.
Now remember, if you're looking to maximize the profitability of your culling decisions, a great resource to check out is the Right Way, Right Time Guide. For more information, just visit ncba.org and click on the Producers link. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.